Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Nancy Kimmel. I want to thank those who are following me. And it was kind of interesting the questions that I posed the other day regarding those of us that work in healthcare. And if you were offered more money, would you consider switching? And it came to my mind that I wonder how much of that is actually due to burnout. And so I wanted to pose a question to everybody on this topic of burnout. And I think it's one that we need to really think about, especially for, our own mental health and how we deal in our day-to-day jobs. So I guess some of the questions that I like to ask you is, for instance, what field do you work in? Do you work in the medical field? Do you work in hospitality? I mean, you can have burnout no matter what job you work in, and it can take an excessive toll on not only your productivity but on your home life and family and relationships, etc. So I wondered how it affects your work uh, if you do have this issue. I'd be very interested in hearing from all of you. Um, how does it affect your home life? And have you taken any steps to mitigate the burnout? Maybe you don't even know that you're suffering burnout, and recognizing that is really important. Just for your own well-being. Um, and if you have taken steps, did it work? Did you switch your job? Did you go to a completely different job? Did you switch your hours? How did you deal with it? Um, what type of job do you have? And if you could switch jobs, do you have an idea of what job you'd like to go to? Um, so I pose this question to everyone. As a person who's been in the healthcare field most of their life, um, I've seen, the nurses' aides work so hard, medical assistants in doctors' offices, nurses, obviously, paramedics, EMTs, and everybody has stories. And I'm sure you do too. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you all and seeing some of your responses. You can take some tests, and I looked these up. One is called Psych, PSY, or psy.com.net. That's PSYCOM.net. They have a free test. Well, I think it's free for determine if you have you have the signs and symptoms of burnout. There's mindtools.com, and there's Eddins, EDDINS, counseling.com. So I, I'm going to take one, you know, just to kind of see maybe if you take them, we can compare notes and see if there's any efficacy to these. I can tell you from my personal experience that I remember when I was a first year uh, graduate nurse, I hired on to a step down floor where, the acuity of the patients was very high. And this was going to be my floor. These were going to be the people that I worked with day in and day out. And the shift that they gave me was 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I'm not really a midnight person. So I can tell you it was rough. Usually right around 11:30 is when another nurse would come in. And well, about 12 o'clock. And between that 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock, our patient load would increase significantly. We'd have 13, 14 patients, and these are patients on chest tubes, patients that need blood, people that have to be prepped, for morning surgery and medications, et cetera, et cetera. And I just felt the stress on that floor. It was just palpable, and I remember working with some of the nurses one night, and our help didn't come in. The one nurse who was supposed to come and help us, she didn't come in, and the nursing supervisor came in, and I said, "Well, no one's coming in. Are you going to send anyone? Are you going to pull somebody, maybe from another floor?" And the nursing supervisor said no. So my patient load went from, I want to say 9 to 14, almost 15. And I wanted to cry. As a matter of fact, after 4 or 5 months, I'd come to work, I'd park in the parking lot and I'd cry. And then I'd go in and I'd do my job. And then when I'd come out, instead of getting off at 7, I'd be getting off at 8, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and they didn't pay for overtime. And then I'd get back to my car and cry again. And then it was too hard to go to sleep. So, I mean, we all have stories. I'm sure that you can share some of your stories with me as well. But I'm really interested in knowing how some of you may have dealt with it. Personally, I put in for a transfer, um, and I transferred over to site for a while, and then I went as a float. And when I was floating, the nurses on these floors, they had just seemed so burned out. They couldn't smile. They wouldn't even say hello. I'd look at my patient list and I'd see I'd had 5 patients on one wing, and then I'd have another 5 patients on the other wing, and they were all high acuity. It's like, okay, that's my assignment. I'll do as best I can. But no help, not how you doing, thanks, glad you're with us. That sense of camaraderie has to be there, especially in the medical field, right? Because we're taking care of people. You go on to a shift, you clock in, and you want to make sure everybody's okay during your shift. Don't want anything to happen. So, yeah, I just wanted to touch base with everyone and say hi. And hopefully, I'll hear some of your answers and we can get together and maybe have a live chat. Thanks. Bye.